don't know if anybody can see this yet. This is the first time that I have gone live on YouTube. So I'm just going to see if this is working okay. Hi. Okay, so I'm actually doing an Instagram live as well at the same time. So I've started you guys on YouTube first, and as a bit of a trial, because I haven't done a YouTube live, well, for a very long time, I don't know, a few years or something. So I'm going to try and double up, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit, because this particular one on YouTube, you are here, my friends, is new to me. So I'm going to be also focusing here. You're going to have to bear with me, and if this works, then amazing. If not, we've lost nothing. My daily vlogs that I've been doing in lockdown will be going live as normal in the morning, so that's all good. You're just going to have to bear with me, my friends. And what we are talking about, just so you know, is we're going to talk about judgment of ourselves and other people during this particular time in our worlds. Okay, hi Mike. Oh, it is working, and that's cool. Okay, so I'm actually going to go live on Instagram as well, so you might just have to bear with me. Well, you will have to bear with me, and I hope you can hear me and see me okay on YouTube as well. This will be cool if I can actually get it working proper, and not have two different devices. I will do that, and I'll be able to jump on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook Live at the same time. That would be helpful for me, but I have scheduled this on Instagram, so I'm going to head onto there as well. So as they were told about first, I'm gonna honour that one as well. And you guys on YouTube, I think it might just be you, Mike. I can't tell if anybody else is watching or not, but you've said hi, so there might be other people watching. I don't know. Got quite a few followers on there, subscribers. I mean, not followers. Right, let me have a look. Let me set this up on here as well. Oh, I went the wrong way. That's weird. Hi guys. Hi everybody. Okay, Instagram. So I'm gonna let it look very, very shiny in this light. That's what happens when it's lit. It looks like I've got tons of makeup on. Hi. Oh, that's good. That means that my Instagram clock thingy majiggy that I put on, countdown is the word I meant, has worked. Hi guys, I'm just going to let you know now, I'm also, on this side of me, I am streaming onto YouTube as well, which I haven't done before, and it's a bit odd doing it on two devices. So if I have a little glance over there, that is what I am doing. I'm not just being weird. I thought I'd try and do two, stream it onto other places as well. Hi everyone, let me know where you are all from, so I can see where everybody's from today. Thanks for the hearts as well, guys. Let me know where you are coming in from, what area you are from. Are you in the UK? Are you outside the UK? Just let me know so that I can see where everybody's coming from today. Oh, there's a lot of you sat in, that's great. We're just going to give people a minute or so just to get in before I start chatting. I'm good, thank you. From Belfast, amazing. Birmingham, woo, the Brummies. We've got Brightlingsea in Essex. Those of you that followed me for a while will know that I have a soft spot for Essex because I used to live in Essex. Cumbria as well, amazing. Northants, Lincoln, where else we got? Hi Rob, who else we got? We've got Essex, the Wirral, amazing. Hi Kat. Amanda, who else can we see? The Louise, the Blonde Bombshell, Coventry. And I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay on both things. And Mike on YouTube, who's just commented, is from Southampton in the UK as well. Amazing. This is kind of cool. Who else we got? I lived in Essex. I lived in Loughton in Essex first, and then my first property that I bought was in Arlo with a capital A. So yeah, I lived in Loughton, sunny Loughton. I've got such a soft spot for Essex. What a lovely part of the world. Lovely people. I've got people on YouTube as well today, so those who just sat in on this side of me, I have my YouTube friends over there, and they're going to bear with me a little bit because I have admitted that this was a last minute shout where I was like, I could totally YouTube stream this as well and it'll be fine. So it might not be, but we'll see, won't we? Birmingham here, but Newcastle originally, yeah. Okay, guys, so I'm going to get started because I can see there's quite a lot of you. Emily says she lived in Southend for 8 years. Oh, Southend. It's a big place though, isn't it, Essex? I mean, it's a big county, shall we say. Not far from you in Chigwell. Ah, lovely Chigwell. Amazing, amazing. Oh, look. Yeah, I used to live in Camden. It was a lovely part of the world. The girls loved it at Camden Primary. And yes, of course, there's nothing better than Newcastle. But then I'll get in trouble from my Coventry lot. I love Coventry as well, which is where I live now. So, right, okay, I'm going to get started. Otherwise, we will just be chatting. And we can just chat as well. I will give space for questions and answers and all of that stuff. I'm just having a look on YouTube and we can see people from Turkey as well. Hi to Turkey, and we've got Jade from Newcastle as well. Amazing. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is judgment. And of course, we can also, we will veer off a little bit, I would suggest, and I can answer questions or just chat to you guys, that's fine as well. But the reason that I'm doing these kind of lives is because it's a crazy time. And I know that there's so many of you that are really feeling the pressure right now, including myself. You know, I'm the same. I'm just like you guys. And I want to try and find ways to give back a little bit and just help to ease the pressure and give you some tools to help you through this time. So one of the things that I've noticed during this time, this pandemic time, is that the level of judgment on each other is much worse than I normally see it. So we are judging left, right and centre. We are judging all over the place. We're judging people for their actions. We're judging ourselves for our own actions. And judgment in itself is a really unhealthy space for us to be in. And I'm not gonna ever stand here and sit here. I'm not standing. I'm not going to sit here and profess to be free of judgment and all peace and harmony and wonderfulness, because that's just not true. Because every human out there judges other people, judges themselves, judges situations. It's human, okay? And I have to put out there also that I think in the past I have been an extremely judgy person and was probably, and definitely, not probably, definitely very vocal about that. My opinions are very strong, as you probably know from following me, and there were times when those opinions really veered into judging other people. Now, I made a real conscious choice and did some work on myself to really look at that, because the reality is that when we are judging other people, it's usually coming from a space within us that is judging ourselves in some way, that we have some really high bar that we feel that we've got to hit. And we then judge everybody else by that standard, but actually, truly, internally, we are just judging ourselves. Now, there's a really good quote actually that I was thinking about when I was thinking about talking about judgment. And there's a quote, I've had to write it down because every time I say I'm going to say a quote, and by the way, that's quote in a posh English accent, but in my accent, it's quote, because that's how I talk. Sorry, not sorry, but quote. But we've been particularly judgy and right now. And when I was thinking about this quote. Oh, you just lost me. Can everybody else hear and see me? I think they can. I don't know. Can you? I think so. So the quote is, it's by Carl Jung, and it says, everything that irritates us can lead us to understanding of ourselves. And I just thought that was really apt when we're talking about judgment, because when we notice ourselves judging other people, when we explore it a little bit further, we might recognise that we are also judging ourselves by that same high bar. Okay, so all of the things, when we notice that we are judging other people, it can be a very good lesson for us in a space for us to grow. Okay, so we might have seen, you know, we are sat at the moment in our homes and we're on social media and we're hearing stories about everything left, right and centre, and we are no doubt about it, it's going to be judging somebody that we know that went out, or we're going to be judging people that stocked up on toilet roll, and we're going to be just judging everybody and thinking, why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? And we're probably going to be feeling this level of irritation because right now we're all feeling this pressure. So we're kind of trying to offload it by judging everybody else and getting angry at them, because actually what we're feeling angry at is the fact that we have been forced into our homes, that our year that we had planned has been completely fucked up and ruined, and we've had to change everything, and we've had to grieve the loss of this year. And so we are then offloading that onto other people in the form of our judgment. So it's a really interesting thing to start noticing how you've been judging people and how you've been also judging yourself, because we've never been in this situation before, okay? We haven't. None of us have. This is beyond anything any of us have ever experienced. And you might have found that actually you've dealt with this not in the way you thought you would. You know, you might have dealt with this in a way that you think, I'm just reading that, I just want to wipe my eyes, and it's making you judge everyone. I get it, I hear you. But we've not experienced this, and so it has forced us into this, you know, this headspace. And we might be thinking, well, I didn't expect myself to respond in this way. I thought I'd be super brave, and actually I'm terrified and I feel really anxious. Or you might have surprised yourself in that you thought you'd be terrified and anxious, and actually you've stepped up in this time, and you felt really empowered, and you felt a sense of purpose, and or other kinds of things. Anything might have come up for you guys, and it might be really different for you to what you expected. So then again, you might be putting a whole heap of judgment on yourself, and you might be hearing yourself in your head say, well, I should be doing this, and I should be dealing with it like this, and I should. And when we slip into the shoulds, it's not a good space for us to be in, because right now is unprecedented, okay? And how you are responding to it is the way that you're responding to it. There should be no judgment on that, because we don't know how to, we are working through this live. You know, we are working through all of these feelings in real time, and we're doing it as a group, collectively, which means when somebody steps out and does something different or does something that doesn't fit with our rules, we go into meltdown and panic and judgment. I'm just reading some of the comments as well. I'm feeling really empowered and in control within my house and my headspace. Oh, that's exciting. That's a really nice space to be in. Hi, Josh. Who else? I saw another comment, but I might have missed it. Oh, Flash Fox says, I'm worried as my husband's a nurse, anxiety through the roof. And that makes sense, right? And can we just all say a massive thank you to your husband for all of his, you know, all of his work, and for putting himself out there. And I can totally understand why that would make you feel anxious. And I think you should have no judgment on yourself for that, because I think it's a very normal response to it. Ash says, thank you, he's back there tonight due to restrictions, only one point. I'll just read anything or someone else's comment. So how do we lack judgment? Because the judgment that we have on ourselves or others is not going to keep us in a good space, and actually it causes us all of this unrest, and we feel really, it's going to add to the feelings that we already have, these anxious feelings, okay? So, and I wrote down some notes tonight, because I knew once I realised I was going to be live streaming on YouTube as well, I realised that that was probably not going to be a good, I think my screen's telling me that I've not been on Instagram too long. Uh-oh. So if this cuts off, guys, I will come straight back on. Thank you for the shell pass. Oh, that's all right. No worries at all. I'm just reading that. So I'm live streaming on YouTube as well. So I did write some notes, guys, which I don't always do, but I have done it for this one. So what I wanted you to do first of all, so when we feel these levels of judgment, they've got all the toilet roll, they're doing this, they're doing that, and they're letting the kids play on their iPad when they should be homeschooling them, or whatever else, whatever judgment you've been putting on, or they're doing, you know, they look really clean cut and perfect on Instagram, and it's making me feel bad about myself. Judgment on yourself, judgment on those people, right? We're feeling all this stuff. So one of the first things to do is to practice mindfulness. Now, you might have heard of this word, you might not have. It has certainly been a buzzword of the last few years. But practicing mindfulness means bringing yourself into the right now, bringing yourself into the present moment. And the reason it's helpful when we are trying to stop ourselves judging is because when we do that, when we go, whoa, let's bring ourselves into the moment. So we're thinking about judgment of other people or of ourselves. When we bring ourselves into the moment, we can catch those thoughts, and we can actually look at the thoughts that we are thinking and assess whether they are valid thoughts or valid opinions, or whether we need to say anything or whether we don't, and we can stop ourselves from being so impulsive in our reaction, because it's very easy, isn't it, right now, to see somebody's post on Facebook and, you know, want to lynch them and want to like say something crap to them and go off on one, when actually it might just be that in that moment you're feeling quite anxious, and then someone triggers something in you that has pissed you off in some way. And so when we practice mindfulness and we bring ourselves in the moment, and there's lots of ways that we can do that. There's lots of techniques that you can do, practicing mindful breathing, just practicing noticing things in the room, practicing having a cup of tea and being mindful when you have a cup of tea. And all that means is just noticing the moment. So you can be mindful right now, okay? You could mindlessly watch this, or you could mindfully watch this, and you could go, Holly's got a really bright light on her face. She looks like she's got too much makeup on because the bright light. She's got books in the background. You might notice things. You might, what can you smell in the room that you are in right now? What can you hear? You know, can you hear your kids still watching the iPad when they were told to turn it off? Maybe. Whatever, you know, start to notice things. Start to be present in this moment. And when we bring ourselves into this present moment, when those thoughts arise, when we start to feel judgment, we can notice them and we can go, okay, am I exaggerating this? Is there any validity in this? Is this a fact? How am I feeling? Am I feeling anxious? Might I be reacting with my anxious, panicked brain when I'm commenting on this, or when I respond to this? And when we do that, we can stop ourselves spiraling it into a bigger thing. Yeah. So practicing mindfulness is a really good way of stopping that judgment in its tracks, because you start to notice the thoughts as they bubble up before they get to the point of no return, where you say the wrong thing, or you feel judgment on yourself and then you snap at somebody else because of it. The next thing to do is to practice reframing. Okay, now you may have heard of this term before, you may not. So reframing a situation is where you look at the situation and you try to shift it on its head in a different way. You try to see it in a more positive way. So let's say, for example, and we've seen a lot of people doing this right now, trying to see the positives in this moment that we are all experiencing, this pandemic. So let's say that the reframe on this right now, the panicked version, we all know that version, right? It's shit scary. Everybody's, you know, feeling that kind of anxiety and fear and what we're going to do, and all of this finances and fear and protection of our loved ones and ourselves and our health and all of this stuff. We know that side of it. We know that frame. But we could also frame it as, okay, the environment's doing well out of this. We're all really present with our families and our loved ones. Neighbours are checking in with each other and being, you know, really generous and warm to one another. My grandma phoned me today. She said she had 5 neighbours that have all checked in on her and dropped in a message. Oh, sorry guys, I think I just paused there. It was actually my phone telling me I'd been on Instagram too long. I've put things on my phone to stop me going on it for too long. Sending Flashbox, lots of virtual hugs as well. So you see, the reframe on this situation right now is the positive side of all of this that has come about. Now, you might also want to reframe some of the judgments that you've been having. So let's say you went on and you saw that somebody had been stocking up on toilet roll, right? It's been the bugbear for everybody, right? Or you went to go and get some and you couldn't, and you just wanted some toilet roll, and you were fixated on it because you're feeling really anxious, so that became the fixation of your anger. And so you think, that dickhead's been stocking up on toilet roll, right? That's your anger, that's your judgment on that person. Now, how do we reframe that to make it easier for us to cope with? This isn't actually about the other person, by the way. This isn't about that person. I'm not here to affect the other person. I'm here to help you to affect your own mindset. So you're judging that other person. That causes you unrest, okay? It doesn't make you feel very good, does it, when you're angry at another person about bog roll? So you're saying this, angry. That's one frame. What about if we just switched the frame round a little bit and we reframed it and we thought, hang on a minute, maybe that person isn't a dickhead. Maybe that person's really scared. Maybe that person is really frightened. Maybe they've, whatever their experiences in life have brought them to the point where this this is terrifying, and they're scared and they're worried and they've had loss in their life, and it's just triggered everything for them. And that person stocking up on toilet roll is just in their heads fighting for their lives, and that's their world, that's their vision. But when you reframe it and you can understand and perhaps see it from somebody else's point of view, what that does is shift how you see the situation completely and shift your reaction to it. Because I think that when you can see that the other person is frightened and scared, because you are good, I'm just Whistler saying you're not hearing anything new or positive from me. Okay, no worries, then switch off. When you feel that, you can switch it up, and then perhaps you could feel pity for that person, or you could feel a sense of connection because actually you're feeling those same fears as well. Okay, so reframing a situation is really, really helpful when it comes to judgment. Okay, we don't know anybody else's journey up to this point. Okay, I'm just reading what Ash says. Could be buying for other people who can't leave the house. That's a really good point, and I think somebody commented that on one of my other posts, that they actually were going to help an elderly relative or neighbour or friend, and somebody really had a go at them. And that's, the person that's having a go at them, I'm not judging them either, because they're also scared. But we need to stop the spiral at some point, so that I'm just reading what Kat says. I feel like a dickhead with that toilet roll by complete accident. I mentioned to a friend I needed some yesterday. I went out this morning to get some, and the person I was talking got me some too. Okay, well, you stocked up now, aren't you? And it's all good. It's all good. So just thinking about this, being mindful, being present enough to notice those thoughts, then trying to reframe them, because your reaction will then be different. Perhaps you will pity that person, perhaps you will feel more sensitive and more loving towards that person, and it will stop this spiral. And also it just lessens the anger within you. Okay, I'm seeing lots of new people come in, so hi everybody that's sitting in. Also, it's really important to look for exceptions to the rule. So when we feel anxious and when we feel stressed out and judgy and all of that stuff, we can exaggerate, okay? Or we can what's called catastrophize. So we make the situation even bigger. I mean, right now, let's be honest, we don't need to catastrophize at anything. We don't really need to do that. It's already as big as it's going to get, But it is worth noticing when you are having these judgy thoughts, whether they're about you or about somebody else, that you try to look for those exceptions to the rule. Okay, so let's say you've been being really hard on yourself to your reaction to how you've responded to this. You feel really, maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm just a weak person, I keep crying about it, I feel anxious, I'm weak. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, if those thoughts are coming up for you and you are, or something similar, something, another way that you are judging yourself, I want you to think about exceptions to that rule. Okay, so what in your life, how have you not been weak or anxious? When have you been really quite strong? Because I guarantee there's an exception to that rule. And when you notice that actually this exaggerating that you're doing of saying, I'm only this, I'm a crap person, I'm whatever else, I'm a loser, I'm weak, the negative thoughts that you're saying about yourself, when you find an exception to the rule, it can just lessen the, what's the word I'm looking for, the strength of that thought. It can just lessen that little bit. Just reading some of the comments on Instagram, some people just want everything to stock up, not being negative, but just should think of others. But again, I get that too, and people, I'm sure that people are trying to do that, but we have to remember that even though it's easy for us to judge in that way and to go, those people shouldn't do that, that's based on our own values and our own rules. But what we have to try and remember is we don't know that person's story. We don't know why they've made the decision to do that. You and I might think, we need to try and find a way to share the food, to share the toilet roll and all of that. But equally, we have to let go of the judgment on the other people, because everyone's doing the best that they can, based on their own life experiences. I'm just going to look at some of the comments on YouTube as well. So we've got Arvina. She says, we all need to stay positive for the sake of our families and learn to stay strong for the community too. Exactly. Absolutely. Mike says, everybody is in the same boat, so we just need to be thoughtful of others. And we really do. We are all in the same boat. And I think so many of you have said this evening that there's been loads of positives to come out of this and that we are really connecting. And I've certainly seen that. We just have to keep reminding ourselves when that judgment flares up for us and we want to go at people, because it's easy sometimes, isn't it? It's easy to just explode on other people, when we're feeling all of these anxieties ourselves. We just need to remind ourselves that everyone's doing the best that they can. Even if that doesn't match our rules for the world, they're still doing the best that they can. I'm just seeing what who Ash has said. I found more people saying good morning and all round friendlier. This is so true. We went out for a walk earlier, and so many people were kind of almost giving each other this like nod of, wow, the world's crazy. And I just thought that was a really positive thing to come out of stuff as well. Lauren says, family friends have checked up on me and advised me on doing compulsory things to keep me safe, which helps me to remember how together we all are. Thank you, Tom. That's really lovely. Thank you very much, guys. So have you guys got any questions? Or, because I'm going to be doing these lives a lot more regularly, what is coming up for you right now? Because we're all experiencing this, but you are all experiencing this in a different way. So let me know, how are you feeling? How are you coping with this right now? Some of you were saying earlier that you felt quite empowered, that maybe this is giving you some sort of purpose and sense of direction. Some of you are feeling worried and anxious and all those things. Quarantine has taught you patience. That's a very good thing. We'll all be better people when we're through this. Excuse me. That is definitely an interesting thing, and I really think that we can be, but we have to decide to be, right? We have to decide that we're going to grow and learn from this. Kat says, sometimes limiting beliefs can make you think things are bigger than what they are and make you react in the wrong way. And that's it, because when we feel negative, when we feel worried or anxious, or any of the anxious feelings that we feel, we catastrophize it, we make it massive, and we overthink it. And guys, I'm the same. We're human beings. Our brains are programmed in the same way. So we are all doing those things. But it's being aware of it that is going to help you to walk through it. Hi, what is the subject? So we started talking, who've got there? Isam Ali, is that right? We started talking about judgment, Isam, and we're talking about the judgment of ourselves and also the judgment of other people. So during this time of pandemic, there is a lot of judgment. There is a lot of feeling of that person shouldn't be doing it that way, and why am I reacting this way? And is this good? Is this not? And what I'm trying to talk about is lessening that feeling of judgment, and it's actually a sense of letting go, which, if we do that right now, if we let go of trying to control, because right now we can't control it. We can control ourselves and we can control our reaction, but we can't control what is going on out there. And if we let go of those feelings of judgment, we let go of trying to control everything and even controlling our reactions. If we just let go, then it will be easier for us to walk through all of this stuff. I'm just looking at some of the comments on YouTube as well. So Mike says, I've had my friends and my twin sister texting and ringing me to see how I am because they've had bad mental health issues in the past. And that's really amazing, Mike, that they've been checking up on you in that way. And I do think as well, sometimes it wouldn't have been the case before, and not because no judgment on them, it just might not have been the case, but it's like everything's been just turned up a notch, and we've all realised that, whoa, I'm feeling scared and worried, but what about my friend Mike, who's had really bad mental health problems? I'm really worried about him, because if I'm feeling worried, then Mike's feeling even more worried, or whatever else. And so we've started to check in on people. I'm just reading. Philip says, I've learned I'm strong, and that I was thinking I was, and then I can cope with. That's amazing. How amazing is that? And you maybe didn't know that you were this strong, and you are. And now going forward in life after this pandemic, and once we get through this and we come out the other side, you will know that about yourself, that you dealt with this, you stepped up, that you were stronger. Kat says, just don't know how to get past those limiting beliefs. Sounds so much easier than it is, but those thoughts are always recurring. That's really, and I'd love to see the comments as well in that when you guys are helping each other out as well, because I do see that a lot. And Kat, you're right. Limiting beliefs can be they're little cheeky little things, and they hide and they come back up, and we have to work on them constantly. And even when we find out what these beliefs, so limiting beliefs, actually just explain that, because I know that I've spoken to Kat many times, so she knows what they are. But a limiting belief is a belief that we have that is holding us back. Okay, so these beliefs are swimming around in our subconscious, and sometimes we don't even know that we have them, but they actually cause all kinds of problems in our lives, because we don't get to do the things that we want to do, because those beliefs are stopping us from doing that. And so what Kat's saying is that she just feels like they reoccur. And that can be the case, because even when we've found out what these beliefs are, they still rear their ugly heads sometimes, especially when we're feeling not our best selves. So it is about constant work, but there will be a time when something just shifts it and something just clicks it out of place, and you just go, I'm done with this belief now of myself. But it does take a lot of work on that. I'm just reading some of these comments. There is a saying, give your friend 100 excuses before judging him. I like that saying. I'm just reading as well. Reading, exercise, meditation is the best way to pass time in quarantine and learn a new skill online. It's a great way. Tom says, I work in law enforcement, always always anxious that I'm going to underperform. Is this self-judgment or something else, do you reckon? Well, I think there's definitely self-judgment, isn't it? I think that it is a big judgment on yourself, and sometimes we can have really high expectations of ourselves that we wouldn't have on other people. You know, we're really hard on ourselves. And I can remember actually, and it was the one time I remember really having a proper light bulb moment, and it was years and years ago, and I was seeing a therapist, and it was at a time in my life, my husband had brain cancer, my sister's partner had leukemia, there was stuff going on in my family, I was working really hard at the time, I had lots of things going on, 2 young kids, and I was overwhelmed and stressed out, and I'd had a bit of a meltdown, and I went to see the therapist, and I sat down and I told her all the things that were happening in my life, and I was like, I just don't feel like I'm coping. And she was like, okay, so what would you say to somebody else that just told you all of the things that you've just told me, and thought about it? And I said, well, I would say give yourself a break, like you've got so much going on, why being so hard on yourself? And she said to me, so why won't you give yourself that same respect and lack of judgment? And I said out loud, and it was one of those moments where I went, oh shit, like, wow, okay, that's judgment on myself. And I said, because I expect more of myself. I expect more of myself than to not be overwhelmed in that situation. Even though when I said all of that stuff out loud that I was dealing with at that time, even, part of my brain was going, yeah, that's a lot of stuff that you've got going on. And if anybody else had said that to me, I'd have been like, whoa, chill, just let yourself be. But I wasn't allowing myself. So it sounds, Tom, very much like you are in that similar space, that you're being, it's a high pressure job. So your expectations of yourself are really high, and that can be a good thing in some ways, but equally you have to allow yourself space to fail and grow and all of this stuff, because otherwise you're going to feel pretty rubbish about that. So I would definitely say that's something that you could work on. Definitely meditation, practicing mindfulness, being present and listening to those thoughts, and then going, is that a true representation of who I am or how I'm dealing with this? Or is this me feeling quite anxious about a situation right now and putting a hell of a lot of pressure on myself? Is this an old belief that I've got sat, in my subconscious? If there's some limiting beliefs there that you're not good enough, then that's going to make you be really, really hard on yourself, isn't it? And so I would suggest maybe having a little look into some work on limiting beliefs. Perhaps we can do something like that on one of these lives. Also, guys, before I go on any further, I also have a Facebook group, which I'd love you to be part of that community as well, because I'm doing extra things in there. And tomorrow I'm going to be hosting a vision boarding, goals board type thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of what that is before, but that is, it's creating a picture or, collage or some kind of image that is, and writing stuff that we're going to actually do this vision board on who we want to be, what we want to do when pandemic season, when pandemic season's over, what are we going to do? So we're actually doing that in my Facebook group. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, I will put links. I'll put a swipe up on Instagram, and there'll be links below this on YouTube as well. Oh, I seem to have gone a little bit. Oh, there we go. I'm back. So if you want to join that group as well, I opened that up during this time. It was a private group, but I've opened that up now. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock UK time, we are going to be doing a vision boarding session. All you need, pen and paper. If you've got any extras like colouring pens, magazines, to cut, stick, all of that stuff. Bring that as well. Glitter, sprinkle some glitter on it, whatever you want. But essentially, all you need is a pen and paper. And yeah, so I'll be doing some stuff on there as well. So that might be useful for you, Tom, to have a look at limiting beliefs. I am just going to scroll now. I've lost a lot of comments on here. Okay. And check, oh, we've got another quote here, which is, check your room properly before judging your neighbour. Nobody should check my room, it's a mess. That's great. I'm glad you've taken that on board, Tom. Do just have a little thing. Just, it's all about self-exploration. And right now, we've got all the time in the world to start working on our mindsets and just working out whether there's, way we can deal with things differently. We've had to slow down in many ways, although it doesn't necessarily feel like that in my house. But we've had to slow down, so we're with our thoughts a lot more than we have been. And that gives us a lot of space to grow and learn and learn new skills and just see what things are coming up for us and just explore that a little bit further. Just reading what Kat says. Kat's got her magazines ready for the vision board session tomorrow. Amazing. And if you've got children as well, my kids are going to do it with me tomorrow. So bring your kids along, your partners along. Just say, look, we're going to do this. It's creative. You've all got time to do it, so come and hang out. And that'll be, yeah. So we'll be doing other things. I've also got some people going to do some lives in there as well. Next Tuesday, we've got a lady called Hayley who is going to be talking about decluttering your home. This is what I need to do. So Hayley's coming to chat in the Facebook group as well. And on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I'm going to go live every morning at 10 o'clock on weekdays. So starting on Monday, I'm going to go live at 10 o'clock. And I will be jumping in and doing some other bits and pieces as well with you guys. I'm just trying to show up as much as possible. I just need to know from you guys what you need, what you want me to talk about, what is going to help you, what are you experiencing right now, and then I will be trying to jump on and deliver some stuff for you. If anybody has, I'm going to open the floor to you guys now. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to chuck the questions at me. I'm just going to read on YouTube. We've got Mike says, I work as a chef and the restaurant I work in is closed, so I was worried about money, but I was reassured that I don't need to worry. Well, that is a good thing, and I know that there's going to be lots of contingencies to help people who are out of work at the moment. And also, if your job that you did before, the job that you may still be in, this time is also a time to assess that. Is that what you want to be doing? And I don't mean that flippantly. I'm not saying, oh, just change careers like that. It's easy breezy. But this is the time for you to go, is my life going in the direction that I want it to? And if it isn't, what can I be doing during this time where everyone is on pause? What can I be doing to just shift it? Can I learn something new? Do I want to do something? I've seen people across my community doing all kinds of different things. I saw a teacher today who is now not working as a teacher but doing online yoga and being paid for it now. So there's lots of things that we can be doing to just work out who do we want to be when this is all over. I'm just looking, what's there to do in Coventry for fun in this situation? Well, I think the thing is, it's not about what's in Coventry, because it is about in your own home, because it doesn't matter where we are, we're all sat in our own homes in whatever capacity, whatever your home is. So there's lots of things that we can be doing. There's loads of things online. Maybe I'll get something together for you guys to think of some ideas to do. Do you mean in terms of just anything to do, or do you mean in terms of working on your mindset? If it's working on your mindset, I've got 2 online courses that you can do. They're really low end in terms of expense. So the Happy Me Project 1 is a 21-day online self-development program. That's all the fundamentals of self-development, and it's audio, so you can listen to it. There's a few videos, and there's a workbook for you to print out if you have access to a printer. You don't need it though. You can just you can look at the workbook and then just write out on a piece of paper if you haven't got access to a printer. That's £30. You can be working through that. There is also the Happy Me Project 2, which is about confidence and self-belief. And that is a £60 course. That's a much bigger course. There's videos, audios. Every single section is done in audio, video, and written, so you can find your own perfect way of working. And at the end of next week, I'll be launching the Happy Me Project 3, which is all about resilience. So I'm going to put everything in there to help you through this time in your life. I'm just reading what ISM says. Sometimes when someone doesn't react, people judge him as a chicken. Meanwhile, he is just giving his opponent some mercy. Ooh, interesting comment. Very interesting comment. that silence of just allowing somebody a moment, and that's it. Absolutely. And what else we've got? I live in student accommodation. Perhaps my mindset, got no family here, can't fly back. Oh, of course. And now, obviously, we met, so I do know your story a little bit, and that must be frustrating for you and difficult for you, a bit challenging. So yeah, mindset stuff, lots of stuff on my YouTube channel, which I'm saying over there because we are live on YouTube as well. There's lots of mindset stuff on my YouTube channel for free. There will be stuff that I'm going to be putting out here for free. And then there's also my online courses as well, which I'm going to be, pushing out there for you to get access to as well. So there's lots for you to do. Also podcasts, there's lots of podcasts out there. Hopefully, while we are down in this pandemic time, I will be eventually launching my podcast that I've been talking about for forever. And hopefully this will give me some time to be able to do that. So yeah, so that's what's been going on, guys. And we just need to find a way to let go of judgment of ourselves. We are all doing the best that we can, and of others, and just consider what we are, how we are feeling before we respond to people. I'm just reading this comment. What's it like being a mum in isolation? I've got a 6-month-old baby boy. Yeah, so as a mum or a parent in general, it is definitely quite full on. I'm just reading what Tom says. No problem, Tom. Lovely to have you part of this. Thank you so much for sitting in. So yeah, being a mum is challenging during this time. My daughters are 9 and 7. So I'm just reading what Kat's saying as well. It says, I need to go back to basic before I can build a self-confidence course. Cool. And I think you've got the original one as well, haven't you? So you can go back and do that anytime. And just start again. Use this time as a time to do it. So yeah, being a parent is challenging because we've got to be very honest with our children. I think the last 2 days, my daughters have felt quite, just a little uneasy again, because I think it's just this time now. It feels like a long time. And they've done loads of stuff, and I think they've definitely enjoyed being around me, being around each other, but they miss their pals, they miss the routine of school, they miss the routine, they miss their family, they're not being able to see people, so, and there's all these new rules, and my youngest said tonight before she went to bed, I just don't understand why all this is happening, and I said, but mate, none of us understand, this is it, I'm very honest with my daughters as well, so I've talked to them about stuff, and actually there's a video on my YouTube channel about talking to children about what's going on as well, so that might be useful for you. Just reading this. The hard bit is being a sole parent. This is which I know you're doing. Got an 8-month-old, a 4-year-old, and a 13-year-old, and it is. And when you are a single parent, there is no switch off, and that definitely is more challenging. And that's not to say it's not challenging when you've got 2 parents in the house. It's not. But when you are a single parent, especially during this time, there is no escape, and that's not that before the judgment comes. And I'm not judging myself. I love my children, but it's full on, and this is constant, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no breathing space from your children and from mom. There's just no switch off. So it's just about being kind to yourself. And if sometimes you feel like you're not getting it right, whatever that means, just be kind to yourself, because we don't know what we're doing with this. It's tricky as anything. I'm just reading the comments on here. Thank you, Isam. You're welcome. Lauren says, what advice would you give to people who want to start an online business? Well, I would love to give some advice on that, but I think that is a definite in fact, I'm going to write it down, online business. I'm going to write this down because I think that is a whole other live, and we could chat about that as well, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to that. And if you have a business already, then it's how do you make that an online business? And if you don't, you want to try and work one out, then again, that's a whole other thing, but there's definitely opportunity there. Just reading, that's what I'm struggling with. I've had no let up, not judging. No, absolutely. It is, and you've just got to be kind to yourself. You've got to, there's truly no easy answer to it, because you've got to be indoors and you've got to be there, and we've got to just ride this out. I think the main thing is to focus on your mindset and find many ways for you to be a grown-up without your children, whether that's, FaceTiming your friends with a glass of wine and watching some really sweary adult film late at night, so you can just remember you're an adult and you don't just want to have like Peppa Pig on, and just finding those moments. It will be challenging, and it's just it's giving yourself a break and knowing that there's going to be days when you feel like you've just not done anything and you've walked around with no bra on in your pyjamas all day, and that's okay, and there's no judgment, you know, like, excuse me, and that's it, truly. With my 6-month-old, it's quite difficult having him inside all the time. I'd normally go for walks, of course. And at the minute, we can still, unless you're in a, you know, in a household where you have to self-isolate completely, we can still go for walks. So if you have the opportunity, do try, just take that moment to go and have a walk, because that will make you feel better. I know we did today. We went out, the girls went out on their bikes, went around the block a few times, and we definitely felt better for it, for sure. We live in the 21st century, modern science and technology era. I can't believe there is no solution for a virus. We'll work it out. I'm confident. I'm just going to have a little look. It's not a random question. What is it? Do I get recognised from Waterloo Road? Not as much anymore. Not really as much. Obviously, people who follow me on here probably have Googled me at some point. And for those of you who are like, what the hell? I was a TV actress for many years and was on a show called Waterloo Road. So sometimes it depends. If people love the show, which it was a really popular show, Waterloo Road, it's one of them ones that has a big fandom, like, so sometimes. I'm not sure what I get recognised the most for, though. I'm not really sure. Biker Grove, I was a real young kid, so I don't look the same. But, you know, even from Waterloo Road, I look different from them as well. So it just depends. If people love the show, no doubt. And actually, recently, it's went on something, hasn't it? It's gone on to, was it on Netflix or something like that? I don't know if it was Netflix. Somebody tell me what it is. I should be being paid for that. But it's somewhere, because people have been messaging me and saying that it's on, and they've been watching it and going, oh, I didn't know you were on that. And I'm like, yeah. It's always quite funny, actually, and it has only happened, I think, once, but it really made me laugh, where I was on The Bill, a show that was on in the UK, which is a police drama on in the UK a while back. And I remember being sat, it used to be screened on some channel on Sky, and I was in bed in the morning on a Sunday with my cup of tea, and I was watching this episode of The Bill, and I was like, this is great, and I was just loving it. I loved The Bill and watching it. And then 2 seconds later, I came on the screen, a character that I played on the screen came bursting in, and I was like, that's so weird. Like, I didn't even know I was in that episode, and suddenly I was like bursting on my screen. In fact, actually, a couple of weeks back, my sister was watching a show called Criminal Justice, and she messaged me saying, oh, have you seen Criminal Justice? It's really good. You should watch it. And I was like, I was in that. She was like, were you? I was like, yeah, I was like it was the smallest part in the world, like actual blink and you'll miss me. I think I had a line, but it was like, I don't think it wasn't cut, but it was like really small. Oh my God. I was playing a nurse. And so my sister eventually watched it back and screenshot it, and you can see like this dark silhouette, and that's all it ended up being in the end. She was like, is this you, hon? Yeah, no wonder I missed you, but it did make me laugh. So yeah, so I was on TV, but not very often do I get recognised for TV stuff as much now. Really glad that it's helped. You really do need to just be kind to yourself. It's just day by day, just bit by bit. We're on this like marathon right now, and we just need to take it a step at a time, and just know that when you come out of the end of this, we're going to be so much stronger, so much more patient, so grateful for all of the stuff that we're now craving. So grateful. Just think about all of those things. And if any of you are around in the morning tomorrow, please do jump into my Facebook group. On YouTube, there's going to be a link below. On Instagram, I'm going to do a swipe up after this, so you can go and join that Facebook group. And at 11 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to do some cutting, sticking. If you've got pens, crayons, pencils, get your kids involved. We'll do something with them. My kids are going to be there as well. And I'm going to talk you through it. You don't ever have to have done this before or know what it is, so it's totally fine. Just reading this, I home educate my daughter who has autism. Things are very different for my daughter, not understanding why we can't go out. Of course, we have a garden, that's amazing, so we're getting plenty fresh air. And I definitely think when children have autism or any kind of special needs, it's more challenging. Of course it is, it absolutely is, and you're doing your very best, and well done to you. And I'm so glad that you have a garden as well. That's such a good thing. I don't watch Love Island, no. 7-year-old triplets for the past 14 days. Oh, we called into intensive care nursing. Wow, okay. Well, well done you, and we all think you're amazing. I'll always be Leanne Galloway to you. That's hilarious, amazing. Oh, it's gone into iPlayer, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry, that's right. I wasn't sure what it was, that's funny. Yeah. Brilliant. Right, guys, I'm going to finish up now because it is going to be, we will chat all night, but I am going to be back on here as regularly as possible. I haven't got my schedule for Instagram and definitely not YouTube yet. I did a little trial on YouTube this evening. It seems to have worked, so I will try and get a good schedule so I can go live properly and focus on YouTube and properly and focus on Instagram. On Facebook, I'm going to be 10 o'clock in the morning every day this week, every weekday, sorry. Come and chat to me, have a cup of tea, and yeah. Just reading this, I find it really hard to draw and paint. Lots of things happening in the world, and I couldn't be kicking the motivation away. I hear you. I really do hear you. And you know, it doesn't. The one thing about drawing, painting, all of that stuff, it doesn't have to be good. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything arty. No one has to see this but you, and it can just be writing as well that we're doing. So it can be a nice way. We're going to focus on what we do after this, who we want to be after this time. And it's going to be something positive for you to look at. So you might find that you want to come and do it. You are more than welcome to. You are invited. So please do add yourself to the Facebook group if you would like to come. Just reading these last comments now. Thanks for the great chat. Thank you, guys. I should do some video. You know, if somebody else said that to me, that I should do some video with the viewers. Okay. Well, let's do this sometime on Instagram. I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I don't think I can. But let's do this on Instagram sometime where I let people jump in and chat to you guys. Okay, we could do that. That'd be fun. Anna says, hi, Holly, back to say morning. I mean, it's clearly been a long day. Good morning. Ish. Well, it's morning somewhere, isn't it? So, whatever. Doesn't matter. Great. Well, I will see you guys at 11 o'clock on in my Facebook group if you're joining me there. Or perhaps I will see you at 10 o'clock on Monday morning on Facebook, which all the links will be on my Instagram or on my YouTube below this video once it goes live. And thank you so, that's too scary, a cat saying she doesn't want to go live. You don't have to, but people can ask questions and I can make them go live. That might be fun. Might be scary for me as well, but who knows, let's go for it sometime. Good night, guys, goodbye everybody, and thank you so much for sitting in. Take care. And bye to everybody on YouTube. Thank you so much for being part of this. Is kind of an experiment. So thank you to Mike and Joe and Piper, Spirit and Arvina and lots of anybody else who sat in that I have missed, and thank you so much. I know this was a little bit all over the place, but it means that I know how to do it now, so that's fantastic. And it means that I can jump on here and we can talk positive mindset and how I can help you during this pandemic time. Thank you so much for your support. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, because as a YouTuber, as a creator, as a content creator, it really makes a massive difference to us. So I thank you so much for your support, and I send you lots of love in this crazy time. And just remind yourself that you are going to be okay, and I will speak to you all very soon.